Hello there, my name is Artie, and welcome back to Thing of the Month, where at the end of each month I'll discuss whatever game, series, album, or some other thing I enjoyed most that month. This month it's Dredge, the Eldritch mystery fishing game developed by Black Salt Games and published by Team 17. Dredge is a game that's been recommended to me by 3 completely different people, 2 of which don't play that many video games, so I know I had to check it out eventually. And to be honest, I still wasn't expecting much from something I saw as a pretty basic looking fishing game, but I'm glad to say that I was absolutely blown out of the water by almost everything Dredge had to offer. I was hooked, you could say. Alright, but that's enough of the fishing puns. Let's start off with gameplay. Dredge's gameplay begins extremely basic. You have this little fishing boat and you set out into the ocean to find fishing spots. When you reach them, you can acquire fish there through a little reaction time minigame. Once you've picked up a fish, you bang it in your inventory and fish again before selling back an outpost, rinse and repeat. This remains the core part of the gameplay loop for most of the game, but there's consistently new stuff added to spice things up. For example, different types of fish require you to complete different reaction minigames with the same general gist. Different fish also have different shapes and sizes, so you'll have to arrange your inventory in a Tetris-like manner in order to try and fit everything in. This leads you to making some fairly difficult decisions late into a fishing session. You can either pick up one big valuable fish or discard it and hope to find a bunch of smaller ones of equal value. Another part of the game is, believe it or not, dredging. You can dredge for scrap materials, which will allow you to upgrade your ship over time, improving its speed, storage space, and so on. Dredging also has a similar reaction minigame to fishing, but with a few more changes. One of the best mechanics of Dredge is, in my opinion, the panic meter. Whilst Dredge initially seems like a pretty basic, albeit charming, fishing game, you quickly discover that there's a hell of a lot more going on out there on the waves. Every night, a mysterious fog closes in on you, making it not only difficult to see, but increasing your panic meter at the top of your screen. Simply put, the more panic you have, the more weird stuff will happen to you. You might have crows steal fish from you, or a twister try and chase you down, something like that. My favourite thing about the panic meter though is the fact that it isn't a meter. Instead of just opting for a bar which increases with your panic, the developers implemented this eye which will become red and start darting around the more panicked you become. Whilst, yes, this is effectively the exact same thing, I just liked the concept a lot more and felt like it was a super creative alternative. Dredge also has quests, known as pursuits, which you can attempt to complete as you play the game. The main quest, which I'll talk more about later, mostly just guides you to each of the game's areas as you try and collect a series of eldritch artifacts. You can also complete a variety of side quests, which include catching rare fish, delivering packages, and a few others. I really enjoyed the side quests, and I found they never got too tedious, especially the rare fish quest, which opted to hide the rare fish in specific locations, instead of making you fish for hours in hopes that you get the chance to find one. I also want to briefly mention the powers that you get throughout the game, after you've visited each area. Each of them allows you to do some cool ability, like going extra fast or teleporting back to Blackstone Isle, but at a cost, usually just rapidly increasing your panic. Nothing about them was too special, but they were fun and useful enough that I'd still utilise them quite a bit. Circling back to those areas the main quest takes you to though, there are 5 main areas you can reach. The Marrows, the most populated location and the place you start the game. The Gale Cliffs, a series of caves inside of a large cliff with a small fishing community. The Stellar Basin, a circular series of small islands with a research station nearby. The Twisted Strand, a densely wooded swamp. And the Devil's Spine, a geothermic volcano area. Each of these locations have a lot of personality, and all of them have their own unique vibes, which I really love. The other thing that each of the locations, barring the Marrows, has, is a big old sea monster lurking in the water. The Gale Cliffs have a huge serpent which will emerge from caves under the water and attack your ship. The Stellar Basin has a kraken in the centre which will attack your ship with its tentacles if you get too close. The Twisted Strand has 3 mind suckers which increase your panic and cause vines to attack your ship, and the Devil's Spine has the Unseeing Mother, who will attack you and deal loads of damage when its children lock onto you and slow you down. All of these creatures were really interesting to encounter, and to be honest, pretty damn scary too, especially the Serpent and the Kraken. Each of them also had some way to avoid or temporarily disable them too. You can usually try to outrun the serpent, you can activate a machine to disable the kraken, you can just stop moving and the minesuckers won't detect you, and you can travel over hot vents in the water to get rid of the unseeing mother's children so they won't lock onto you. I really liked how you were never able to defeat the enemies, just escape them or stun them, and it played into the story really well, especially the idea that everything in the ocean is more powerful than you. Speaking of the story, let's go into a bit more depth about Dredge's plot. I absolutely adored Dredge's plot, and the mystery throughout kept me completely hooked until the very end. For that reason, I'll try to keep this as spoiler-free as I can so you can enjoy it for yourself. Basically, you play as a fisherman who's moved to the Greater Marrow after seeing a job listing. When you arrive, you crash into the island but are given a new boat by the town's mayor, which gives you a debt that you have to pay off at the start of the game. You then start the game as normal, fishing and selling, until you come across a deformed fish known as an aberration, something Greater Marrow's fishmonger describes as corrupted. After retrieving a handkerchief from within the gut of the fish, you are approached by a strange man who tells you to head to the nearby Blackstone Isle. When you get there, you meet the Collector, who offers you equipment and upgrades in exchange for recovering 4 other relics from around the ocean. This is the main quest of the game, and you'll be heading to the aforementioned locations, avoiding the aforementioned deep-sea horrors, in order to dredge up the relics. Throughout the game, you'll also be able to find more information about the world, the mysterious fog which encapsulates it at night, and why everything seems so strange. For example, when you have high panic, you can approach these obelisks dotted around the map and read the text on them to learn pieces of information. If there's one thing this game does exceptionally well, it's mystery. You never seem to learn quite enough about anything, and you're always kept in the dark about what's really going on. You'll talk to some characters, like the lighthouse keeper, who seem to always know just a little more than they're letting on. It works so well with the Lovecraftian theme, and at times really gives you that feeling of uneasiness that you get from stories about Cthulhu and other eldritch horrors. Alright, I am going to talk about the endings quickly, so skip to the timestamp on screen if you haven't played the game yet and plan on doing so. Alright. In the main ending of the game, you retrieve all of the relics for the Collector and then head out to a spot in the ocean to throw everything in an attempt to revive the Collector's dead wife. This triggers an absolutely spine-chilling cutscene where this hulking creature creepily emerges from the water before the game cuts to black and rolls the credits. In the background of the credits, you can also see Greater Marrow up in flames, everything destroyed. It's so cool. That's the main ending, which you could probably dub the bad ending, but there's of course a more secretive ending you can find if you manage to locate the old mayor of Little Marrow, who lives in a campsite on an unmarked island on the map. If you find him and talk to him, he'll ask you if you threw the book back. When you tell him you have no idea what he's talking about, he'll tell you about a man and his wife who found the book in the depths of the ocean before their ship was sunk by some unseen creature. When they washed up on shore with the wife gone, the old mayor pleaded him to throw the book back, to no avail. He'll then tell you to go visit the lighthouse keeper, who apparently saw the whole thing unfold from the Greater Marrow lighthouse. You can do that and she'll get you to retrieve the book from the Collector. To do this, you need to collect all the relics, but head into the Collector's house whilst concealing the final one. At this point, you attempt to take the book off of him, punching him and revealing the game's big twist. When you punch him, the door shatters. It's a mirror, and you are the Collector. I kid you not, when this happened in-game, I calmly set my controller down, sat back in my chair, and tried to process the twist. Seriously, this is a really, really well executed twist, and I can't commend the writers enough. Anyway, to get that other ending, you take the book off of him, go to the lighthouse keeper, and throw it back into the water, causing this massive sea beast to surface from the waves and eat your ship whole. It's awesome. So yeah, overall, Dredge's plot is really good, and is absolutely the driving force of the game. Let's wrap up. All in all, Dredge is an absolutely amazing game, and whilst it was a little short, I completed the main story with both endings and most of the side pursuits in around 10 hours, that just means it doesn't overstay its welcome. The gameplay is great and always adds new stuff to ensure it doesn't get too repetitive, and the story really brings the game to an even higher level, adding an amazingly well written mystery with a great twist to the game. I was absolutely captivated by the whole game throughout my playthrough, and I'm looking forward to playing the DLCs, the Iron Rig and the Pale Reach soon. All of this is why it's my thing of the month. With all that said though, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you at some point in the future. Goodbye.